Hello my creative and crafty friends, this is Gloria Plunkett with Design by Gloria, here to share with you, my Splitcoaststampers friends, how to create a cute calendar. I wanted one that was really sturdy, that was going to stand the test of time, that I didn't have to keep making over and over again except for maybe the calendar pages. And so I decided to come up with this one that I think you're going to enjoy. I'll show you how to put this together. The only thing you would need to do is pop out this little number here and then just replace that with a new number every year, or we could just make a little slip that you would put around here and then you just cut it off and then put the new slip with the new date on there. So this is one that I've created. These binder rings are 1-inch binder rings and they're just a bit too big, as you can tell. So I've ordered some 3/8 inch and 1/2 inch binder rings, hoping that they'll fit it a little bit better. You can create your calendar using binder rings, or if you have one of those binding machines that has those little coils that you put on. I'm trying to find mine because I have one of those, which is what I'm going to end up using. But I wanted to give you some options in case you don't have that binding machine. Some other options that you can use, which is stuff that you have at home. So let's get started on how to create this cute little stand. As you can see, it's really sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere and it's going to last you for years to come. All you'll need to do is replace the calendar pages. All right, let's get going. So what we're going to start with is some type of board to put on the bottom, and I've got several examples for you here. This particular one that I created, I used this type of chipboard, just a little bit of chipboard that comes in the back of my Stampin' Up! Packages that I receive in the mail. It helps my paper not get bent or damaged. You can also use some regular old cardboard, nice and sturdy. This, I don't even know where I got this. I think it's the back of a photo frame that broke, and it's like a little chipboard piece here. Here's some other type of chipboard that we get from Stampin' Up! Or you can get in regular packages, maybe where you order your craft supplies. I also used the paper that comes in the back of these, my designer series paper. We get these little backings in the back to keep the paper from getting crushed or wrinkled. So I decided I would use this today just to kind of show you. You could use cereal boxes. You can use anything that is going to make a sturdy background for you. Okay, so what I did, I've already put this one together and this one. So this is the bottom of this. That's the 2-inch by 3.5 inch. And then I put 3 together to make this sturdy piece that I'm going to need one for here and here. And these are 3.5 by 4.25. So what I did is I cut my little mini chipboard pieces, because they're not really thick, but they're kind of thick. And then I just took my regular wet adhesive. I added some, that's going to spill over. Regular adhesive. Maybe pull that down. And I just lined them up. I like the liquid because it gives me plenty of time, and I still seeped out a little, to move my cardstock around. There we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Try not to get too close to the edge, but still try to cover it. I'm going to turn it this way so that you can't see it. You really can't see it once I put my cardstock on top. So I'm going to take my little bone folder here and press it to give it more stability. Make sure that sticks on there. You can see a little bit oozing out over here. Okay. You can hear now I've got my 2 chipboard pieces that I'm going to use, and I've got my little center piece that I'm going to use for my project. I've cut a piece of basic white cardstock. This is a 12 by 12 sheet that I've cut to 4.5 inches by 12 inches. What I'm going to do here is line these up so that they're evenly spaced and just gives me enough room to wrap this around. I'm going to leave just maybe like 1/8 of an inch in between these pieces of chipboard here. And then I'm going to use some adhesive to stick them down and then wrap it. Try to make it as evenly spaced as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to use another layer to cover up the center there and make it look clean. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm going to again take my liquid adhesive because I love using that. And I'm going to adhere to the back of my, making sure I put as much as I can there. I don't want it to come apart. So I'm just going to press that well. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the other two pieces. And like I said, leaving a gap of about 1/8 of an inch in between the pieces of chipboard that I've chosen to use. There are a lot of cute calendar tutorials out there. I wanted mine to last because, I mean, they're all cute and everything, but I wanted something that was small to fit on my work surface that I could eyeball really quickly and not have to turn around and pull out, unless I'm writing something down for an appointment or, you know, an upcoming blog post I'm going to put down or create. I go ahead and just look at my calendar for dates and see what date it is. So when you work from home, you kind of tend to forget what day it is. All right, so we've got that stuck on there pretty good. Then I'm going to take a little knife here and I'm going to cut across this board. The way I do it, I use this little tool from Colorway Arts. I just put this here in the very corner and it's the perfect cutter for the edge. You don't need one of these. You don't have to have one of these. So let me just show you how far away from the edge that gives you. Maybe like 1/8 of an inch. You want to make sure you're 1/8 of an inch away from this little point here when you get ready to put your, or cut your little tips or all around the edge. For me, it's just super easy just to cut these with my little tool here. This is what I use like when I'm making my little oh gosh, you know, where you keep your photo albums and you wrap your paper around. Okay, put this back on or I'll stab myself for sure. Okay, so now I'm going to run, make sure I'm in camera, my bone folder all around to give my cardstock a little bit of room to crease. And I'm going to kind of fold it, get it started so it doesn't crack and get ruined. That's why I opted to go with just the basic Whisper White Stampin' Up! Cardstock rather than the thick, because I didn't want it to crack. Another thing I like to use is Tyvek. You know those envelopes that you get in an office that are really strong that you can't, I mean, you cannot rip them apart. I mean, there's those, they come in usually in white in the office. I bought this online, so I had to pick out a color. But this is what it's called. It's called Jam Tyvek envelopes. So I just cut them into little strips. And then I'm going to add that here because I don't want these pieces to crack and break. I think it'll make it a little bit sturdier and stronger. So again, I'm just going to take my liquid adhesive and place it all the way around and stick this little bad boy down right in the center there, particularly where I want these two. I mean, you don't need one that big. You really only need it to cover these two little slots right here, but I figured why not. Okay, now I'm going to take these edges and fold them over. Again, I'm going to use some liquid glue. You could use tear and tape or whatever strong adhesive you like to use, and just fold those in. Give it a little press. I like to use my bone folder to make sure I get all that adhesive squeezed all the way around. Then I take my bone folder, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm doing. You see that little piece there? I'm creasing it, so when I fold these over, this is down, set like that, and it won't bunch up on the corner. I'll show you what I mean in a second here. Let me add some adhesive to this piece. It's probably going to ooze over a little bit, but I'm okay with that because I'd rather have it be sealed properly. Okay, so I'm going to fold this over and take a little piece at a time. Bring in my bone folder. Making sure that little corner there is stuck down. Press, press, press. Come over here and do the same thing. Press, press, press. Let me flip it around this way. Get easier to manage here. So see how this corner came out really pretty? It's just perfect right there. Take your little bone folder and press there to give you a nice crisp edge. We're going to do that all the way around. In fact, this one I'm going to go ahead and get some tear and tape. So let's bring in some tear and tape here. Use whatever really good, you need a really good strong adhesive if you're going to use tear and tape. Make sure you use a good piece. This one is from Stampin' Up, and I love it because it has never failed me. Bring this over and overlap these just a little bit. Or you know what I'll do? I'll just put half tear and tape, and then I'll do the piece on top with liquid adhesive. Won't hurt anything. Okay, let's peel this backing off. And hold this taut. Bring it over. Like I said, any good strong adhesive is going to be fine. Just make sure you burnish it. And give it a good rub. Those pieces to really stick. And we're going to do that. I think I'll add a little tear and tape on this one. Just easier, quicker. So my video doesn't have to last or take up too much time. I want you to be able to get these done and hand them out either for Christmas or the New Year's Eve party if you plan to go to one. We plan to go with some friends to the VFW. They have a dance every year, and it's always fun to hang out with my friends and bring in the new year. I know a lot of people just like to stay home and stay indoors, which is absolutely fine. To each his own. We all do what works best for us. Okay, so now we have that neatly tucked down. This is going to be the back. So I've got another piece of basic white cardstock, and this one I didn't cut it exactly to measurement because I wanted to see how much bulk the chipboard and stuff would take up. So let me figure out now that I've got it laying flat where I want to cut this. Make a little mark here. It's really chilly here. Should have had my pencil, but I don't. I think I'm going to cut it right about there. All right. Get my paper trimmer and trim this. Okay. Same thing with this. We're just going to lay this over top, and I'm going to add some liquid adhesive on this sheet. I'll tell you in a minute what it ended up being. It's at 3.5 by 11 7/8. Almost 12, but not quite. 'Cause I don't want it to go right to the edge here. Just give me a little wiggle room. All right. Again, we're going to use our bone folder and press, press, press. Make sure that stays on there nicely. On this project, I used some Poppy Parade cardstock. This one I used with a basic white, but I'm going to add some designer paper to the front just to give it a little color. Now, we're going to feel for where those little edges are, where the 2-inch pieces, you can feel right on there. We're just going to give it a little help to bend, and I'm going to gently fold that there. And then this is where my other one is. Fold that there. That needs a little bit more glue in there. We're just going to stick some on there. Now that I've got it folded up, I can just drop some more glue to the edge here, because I didn't want it splitting on me. So at least we have a little give right here. So gently fold it over. We're going to turn it around, and we're going to gently fold it over here. And like I said, this will be the inside of our calendar. And it's okay if I got a little bubble there. I can just add some more adhesive. That way it doesn't crack on me. If I leave it just a little bit loose, and then later on add some more adhesive. Let me pull my little... Okay. So now we've got it. And this is how our calendar will stand. Let me get a little bit more glue in here. I really didn't burnish it with my bone folder, which is what I need to do to get those pieces to really stick down. It takes a few more seconds, and it sticks really well. So I cut a piece of designer series paper. Again, I didn't measure the length because I wanted to make sure I covered it all the way up and down, and I did want to leave just a little bit of a border all the way around. So, there's my pencil. So I'm going to come in here. This is cut at 3 1/4, and it's 12 inches long, but I'll tell you what my final measurement is once I figure out where I need to mark this. Come on, don't move on me. And this will also give it more stability as well. Let me get my paper trimmer. Did I put that down again? Here it is. Cut that right there. Now the final piece is 3 1/8 by 11 3/4. So this will be adhered here with a little trim showing around the edges. Of course, you can use whatever, or you don't even have to put down any designer series paper. You could also make your own designer series paper and stamp it to look like whatever you want it to look like. Maybe make your one sheet wonder piece and create your own background. This is really not going to show a lot, except maybe in the back part. As you can see, my little birdies are going in all kind of directions, so it won't matter what side is showing through because they're here, there, everywhere, so it won't look like I have upside down birdies or flowers. Just remember that when you're using your pattern paper, because these are going to shift up. You want it going in the right direction. Oh, that shifted on me. Oh, that's all right. Alrighty. Again, we're going to gently bring this up. The other side, gently bring it up. And then here is what our calendar is going to look like. Alright. I got to stick that down just a little bit more. I can see where it's coming up just a skosh on the other side. So I like to use my bone folder to take that adhesive all the way. My jeans are getting a good workout with glue. Okay. So now we need to make our little holes for the binder rings. Or if you're going to use, like I said, these little wires, you need the machine that actually makes these little holes for you. Try and get these unstuck here. And then you would just take your little, I have one called a cinch, and then you just figure out how long you want these to be. Let me see, I would probably do about 4 and cut off my wire right about here. And then have the machine punch my holes. I put this in, put my 2 pieces, put this in, put my 2 pieces, and on the back side it's got a little press that pulls these 2 pieces together. So that's an option. But just for a regular one that you want to make for yourself or for friends, we're going to go ahead and do the binder rings. And I'll share pictures of the smaller binder rings once they come in on Splitcoaststampers, so you can see what that's going to look like. Now I created a little template. Where are you, template? Here you are. So I cut a 1/2 inch by 3.5 inch piece of copy paper. I folded it in half, and then I folded it in half again. That gave me my 2 center pieces that will fit perfectly. I used a hole punch. I punched my little holes out. And now I'm going to add it to the top of my chipboard piece here. And using my pencil, I'm going to mark where I want my little holes to be. I'm going to do that on both sides. So again, it's just a 1/2 inch by 3.5 inch pieces of paper, folded in 4s, and then wherever that 2 center pieces here, one on either side of the center, is where you'll make a mark, so you'll know where it's even. I happen to have this big punch. It's called a crocodile. I've had it for years, and I'm using the bigger size hole. They have this little smaller one right here. See that one there? I'm going to use this bigger size one here. So now, let's see if I can do this. I'll hold it. Let me put this in there and then I'll show you what it's going to look like. Okay, so I got my little pencil mark. And I'm going to place this, let me see if I can get a good camera angle, right over my pencil mark, and then I'm just going to push, and it's going to create my hole. See that? If you don't have one of these or a hole punch, You can use something with a pokey tool and keep poking that in there till you get a hole. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Bring down the tip a little. Punch it. And I've got my second hole. I'll come over here. Oh yeah, I did mark it. I thought I hadn't. My eyes were deceiving. Okay, let's put you there. Punch. And my next hole will be here. Punch. And I've got my little holes for my binder rings. Okay. So what I did on this one is I stamped my name and handmade for you information. I can do that to this, but because I don't want to mess up the designer series paper, I'm just going to take some Memento ink and my little custom stamp here with my name and information on there, and I'm going to just stamp it right in the center right here. Okay, now that we have that, I'm going to bring in my 2 binder rings, open those up, put them in there, close them. Oh wait, I'm sorry, before we do that, we could do that. You don't have to put these together. See, mine is sealed together. What I did was, and I like it better like that so it's not trying to topple over. What I did was I took some tear and tape. Where did I put my tear and tape? Right here. Took some tear and tape and I added it to the top of my calendar holder here. So I put some right to there. When I didn't put any on the hole, and I did it so that the tear and tape was close to the top as I could get it. Hopefully I'm in frame, you can see. I peeled off the backing, which is sometimes easier said than done. Let me burnish it a little. That always helps. Take the backing off, and then I take my liquid adhesive and add a little extra up here, just in case I didn't get it right to the top where I wanted it. I brought it together and I pressed, held it there for a little while. Get my bone folder and make sure that adhesive gets down in there. And that holds your calendar together. You don't have to. I mean, if you like it loose like it was, and then just add your binder rings, that's good. Whatever works for you, you do you. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to add my binder rings. We're going to make a little calendar. Fingers aren't working. Come on. Okay, so that's our little holder. Like I said, it's hard as nails. It's going to last you a long time. Now for the calendar, I cut 12 pieces of thick basic white cardstock, and I cut these at 3 by 3.5, and I cut 12 of them. I took the same little piece of paper that I used to make the holes for the top of my ring, and I marked them with a pencil. So let's do that on an empty one. So we're going to bring it here. That way when I stamp my calendar on there, I'll know it'll be perfect, same as all the others. So I'm going to take about 4 of these, and that way I don't have to mark so many. Again, using my little punch tool, I'm going to put it right where my little circle is, punch down, and it makes my perfect little holes there. See? And I don't have to do so many. Or you could just take some pieces of cardstock. This already has the hole, so now I'm just going to place my punch right where that hole is. I don't know if you can see that. Trying to get it at a right angle, and punch, and then it just keeps doing it right on the same hole. This is pretty sturdy crocodile, so it works great. You could buy pre-printed calendars. I bought this calendar maker called Days to Remember from Stampin' Up! This year. Absolutely love it, because this is going to last me forever, because I can move the little dates around to fit wherever the first starts. If the first starts on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you can have it be Monday through Saturday and Sunday, Sunday through Saturday. And then it's got little icons like if you want to mark for someone's birthday, flower, Valentine's, or just a special date. And that's what I'm using on mine. As you can see on this one, I've got 3 dates marked in January that are birthdays. So I use my Memento black ink and my little stamp, and I marked the dates that I had birthdays. And on the back, I'm writing the day and the month and whose birthday it is. So I've already got 3 birthdays coming up in January for some friends. So this is a great stamp set. I absolutely love it. I mounted mine on my Stamparatus, and I went ahead and prepped January, so you could see how I did that, so I can have this hold. So what I did was, on one side of the acrylic, I had I mounted the January plus the Sunday through Monday dates, and then all I'm going to do is flip it around and then ink up only from the 1st of January, which is going to be on a Friday, that way, and I'll know that it's going to fit perfectly on my page. So let me show you. Let's start off with, let me move this out of the way. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to ink up my January, and don't overload it, just tap it on there until you got good coverage. You don't want to overload it. I'm going to bring it down, and what I'm going to do first is remove this ink just to make sure it doesn't get on my paper. And I'm going to press. So now I've got my January. I'm going to ink up just a little bit more. Let's see. Monday through Saturday, and a little bit more on the January. I want a little darker. Get rid of that excess ink. Bring it down. And now I've got January and then the days of the week. Now I'm going to flip it around where I have my calendar, and I've got it set up so I can do all my January calendars together. I'm going to make some of these up for some of my friends. So I know that January, I don't know if you can see that, for the first starts on a Friday, right? So I've lined up my stamp set so it sits right underneath that I'm sorry, it starts on a Saturday. So I've lined it up so it starts there. So this piece here, these dates, I don't need at all. I only need from here out, right? So what I'm going to do is pay attention to where the first is. I'm going to bring in this paper. I'm going to bring in my ink pad, and I'm using Tuxedo Black Memento ink. I'm going to gently ink that up because I don't want big blotches on my numbers. I'm going to remove the piece that I don't need. I got this right in that corner, so I'll know it's. Then I'm going to bring this down and stamp. Let's give it a little gentle push. And there. I have January, and I've got the 1st all the way through the 31st. So depending on when the 1st of the month is, that's where I'll use that 1st of the number 1 on my calendar and just start using that to make up my calendars. And I'm going to do like all my Januaries, all my Februaries, all my March, April, so forth, all the way through. And this is what they're going to look like. This is pretty simple and plain. Like I said, I cut out the 2022 from our Playful Alphabet die set, and I only used the 2 and the 0. I used some black cardstock, then I covered it with some of our Crystal Effects, and I added a little B. And then I wanted just to have a little bit of stamping here, but I didn't want it to be too much. So I brought in, and I'll be using different stamp sets for each month depending on the holiday. So I brought in my Welcoming Woods because I love these little snowflakes it had here. So I pulled this out and get a little block over here. Put this on my block. I inked this up with my Balmy Blue Stampin' Up! Ink pad, and I didn't want it to be a real dark. I just wanted it to be just a little effect of the snow, so I just I don't know why I closed my ink pad. I just inked it up, stamped off, and then just came across the calendar so I can still see the snowflakes, but it's not like all in your face. And that does it for my January, and I'll just do that over and over and over again for all of my Januaries. And then once I get them all inked up and stamped, then I'll open up these binder rings, stick these in there, or put my little spiral bind piece on there. And stick it in there. And there. I think it'll be prettier with the smaller rings. There's my calendar. And then I'll add the 2022 down here. In fact, let me show you another way to do it where you don't have to worry about pulling off this last number here. I'm not in camera. Pulling off this last number here. I'll show you another way that you can add the numbers here without worrying about having to peel off the sticker off your cardstock. So another option is to take a 3/4 inch by like 5 1/4 inch piece of vellum, cut out your your numbers from a numbers die. Like I said, I'm using my Playful Alphabet die set that's got all the alpha and the numeric numbers. And then I'm going to take my adhesive, add it to the back of each of these numbers. As oozed over. There we go. And this is just about 3/4. Well, the letters are about 3/4 inch high. So I'm going to put it right on the edge there of my vellum to make sure that I get those aligned nicely. Again, you can make your calendar taller, fatter, wider, whatever works for you, whatever calendar size you're going to be using. Like I said, I love this new calendar set by Stampin' Up! Days to Remember. Because I can use that forever and ever. Because it's a perpetual calendar. Save me some money. Okay, we'll add the last one here. Once you get that situated, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of tear and tape here on these sides. Just on the sides, nowhere else. I'm going to burnish it. Burnish my numbers too. Make sure they don't move. I'm going to attempt to remove the backing. I'm going to place this on here. Kind of eyeball it so that it's centered right where I think I want it. And I'm just going to roll this to the back. Hold it as taut as I can. And that way all I got to do is cut that off next year and put a new one with a new date. I think that will work really good. There. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Like I said, I'll have pictures of my calendar once my new rings come in, the smaller rings, so you can see how it looks. This is okay. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad for now until my rings come in. And then these I can just cut the little vellum off there, take that strip off because it's not stuck back here. It's just stuck right back here. Cut it off and then just put a new date in there for next year. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment below, and I look forward to the next one. I wish you all a blessed and Merry Christmas and a super fantastic and joyous New Year. Talk to you all later. Love y'all. Bye-bye.